are live in 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever this episode finds you. This is Vanessa the Vivacious Files, coming to you from an undisclosed location as we have been traveling for a little bit of over 20 some odd days. So we'll get into that in a second, but welcome first and foremost. As you know, Vanessa versus Riverside is a small challenge to produce a full show on the Riverside platform. Today, actually, I have no notes. This is just a seamless posting of today's show. My actual only notes are not for Riverside, but for us, the public. So basically, in order to have the best show possible, you want to bring in your polished assets and upload them to your library for placement. You simply drag and drop into the Riverside timeline and you will enjoy what you've recorded. What I also like about Riverside platform is that you can record straight into it. So if, say, you created a really awesome intro, really awesome outro, and then you have a video or you have a card that you can place over your audio, and then just record the audio in Riverside and put all the other assets in afterward. There you go, full episode. So thus far, it's been really interesting to play with Riverside and just test all of these wonderful areas. I can tell you there are a few things that I still wish Riverside would fix, but we'll get into that tomorrow. So let's take a break from it. Today, I wanted to talk about various subjects with you, but one in particular is an experience that I had on a recent podcast interview. I was asked about algorithms and virality and mastery of algorithms. And I said, you know what? Nobody really knows. They basically buy tools from someone else and they say that they know, but they really don't. They're basically just using the spaghetti method themselves. And if they hit on something, awesome, they make more money. But really, to be quite honest, nobody really knows. And you should just try anything and everything possible and see what works for you. I'm pretty sure that they did not like that very much because they were looking for the answer. But as you move further along in the industry of media production, you see how the cheese is made and you find that a great deal of the time, there's a lot of fake it till you make it. And no one really understands what they're doing. They're just doing it because they love it. Now, switching gears, I sold my home back on March 25th and I began this solo adventure to create and focus only on that. That and my trusty sidekick, Elizabeth Taylor. She's my little Chihuahua Yorkie or Tricky. And so we've had the best time. Technically, the adventure began March 25th, but for some reason, I credit April 4th as day one. So in that regard, it would be day 12. But if we're really purist in the sense, it's March 25th and it's day 22. Day 22 since we sold the house, and I'm one day short of requesting my final hearing for divorce, which is really cool. If you know me, you know that there's a great deal of personal life events that are going on currently, and living with cancer is another one. I manage okay, and it's the exhaustion really that makes it hard. So to not be able to do everything that I want because my brain wants to do a million things, but my body is craving naps all the time and is saying, no, I really don't want to do that. So I have to find a balance, but it makes me very frustrated and I get mad at myself sometimes. I know that I can only do my best, but I'm also very hard on myself. That comes from being in a television control room and demanding perfection from myself and my team. I'm also a perfectionist, yes, but it's very hard to maintain that kind of life because life itself is unpredictable. Perfectionism made me an excellent musician growing up, and it makes me an excellent film media professional. But in life, I do my best to live the opposite of the perfectionist, knowing that, again, life is not perfect or structured like a recipe. And so I've been truly blessed to be able to roll with the punches and winding roads of life. But I'm also a paradoxical unicorn because I demand perfection, and yet I live a very open and carefree life. Yet I can be super controlling or super particular about things. It's almost like a symphony. You know, you see a conductor conducting a symphony and he's just so particular in how he wants those crescendos to happen, how he wants, accents. And I'm the same way. I'm the same way when it comes to creative work. So what did we do yesterday? Here's what we did. I hosted a few podcast episodes and explored humanity with two very different humans. I began editing a podcast episode with the very cool Chip White, who is host of Relatively Famous Podcast, and he's also Vanna White's brother. His podcast is centered around interviewing other relatives of famous people, and it's just the most awesome show, and it's the most amazing concept. I love it so much. So no pressure to build a fantastic episode, right? It's only going to be seen by him and all his followers, and also probably Vanna as well. Every day I speak to the two nearest people to my heart, God and Cookie. Something interesting, however, is I rearranged the afternoon the other day when I was in between recordings because I felt that I needed a trip to the park and my dog needed a trip to the dog park. And so we were both kind of experiencing this restlessness. And so I called up my last podcast recording guest and requested to do it a little later, a couple hours later. And they agreed, which was awesome. So I took the time to get in the car, put my dog in the car, and then go to the park. And of course, we met more strangers and discussed humanity. But what I found interesting was that I've never done that before. Before, I would have just sucked it up and recorded all the episodes and then went to the park very exhausted. But yesterday, something just felt different. Something told me, you know what? Now is the time to prioritize yourself and your needs over the work. And so if you need to pause and go to the park and run around like a crazy person with your dog, then that's what you need to do. And so we did. It felt amazing, and we had the best day. I came back, I recorded, and I was done for the day. And I was so happy that I did more than just record and then make lunch or dinner and call it a day. So I highly recommend pausing your day to inject a little bit of ridiculousness or a little bit of life that's not something you normally do. It really made the day more colorful, and I wouldn't change it. It was awesome. So overall, solid day. Today's also going to be another day of edits, but I also picked up a Stephen King book, which I've had it for some time, but I actually cracked it open this morning. It's on writing from Stephen King, and from the very first page, it's really good. And I'm like, darn it, Steve, now I want to sit down and read this, but I also have to edit. So now I got to manage my time, but darn it, he's such a good writer. So we will see you guys next time on another episode of Vanessa the Vivacious Files. As you may be aware or are not, I am recording a daily solo cast to kind of discuss the day, but also offer some insights around several different subjects. Hopefully you find it valuable. If you want me to talk about anything in particular, feel free to leave a comment or send me a note on social. I am at Vanessa the Vivacious on all the platforms. You can also email me, vanessathevivacious@gmail.com. Isn't technology wonderful? It is, especially when you have the same handle across all the platforms. So reach out if you'd like me to discuss a certain subject. I'm happy to do so, and maybe I'll just start pulling random shit. So have a great rest of your day, and don't forget to be vivacious. Join us next time on Vanessa the Vivacious Podcast, and don't forget to be vivacious.